All right, we're going to cover 4 separate techniques that are related and overlapping here. We're going to start superficial, go a little deeper, and then go back and talk about a crazy superficial one. But that's okay. Brushing or wiping is our first one, our most superficial. And traditionally, any effleurage technique you already know is brushing or wiping. If you are traveling along the skin in any fashion, whether it's straight lines or circles or back and forth or figure eights or whatever pattern you prefer already, you're doing brushing or wiping. The one that they use a lot in Tui Na is this forearm and hand down towards the feet circular kind of motion. And it's used a lot at the end of a technique or end of a session. Kind of wipe the body down each side of the body 2 or 3 times. And the goal is as much contact as you can possibly get with your forearm and your hand. And this one feels good through fabric, but you can also do it on the skin. I tend to use the forearm as I pass through the glutes, but some people are more bent out of shape about that or not. If I'm moving in more of a circular fashion, I'm blurring the line a little bit with what we call round rubbing. In Chinese, they call mofa. Round rubbing is usually deeper than brushing or wiping, though. So instead of just moving on the skin, I want to be sticking to the skin and moving it underneath, or on the muscle underneath. So the skin is coming with me, and I'm moving in a circular direction. Do I mix those two? Absolutely. It's much more common for me to rub in a circle and glide for a bit, find an area that feels tight or stuck, stick to it and move the skin, and get just a little deeper so that I make sure that I'm moving the skin on the muscle underneath, and then go back and move around a little bit. Come down and find the next spot that feels stuck, stick to it, move the skin. If I go even deeper and I try to move the muscle on the bone, then technically I've dropped into kneading, the next one on the list. Kneading is often done in a circular fashion, though it can be forward and back, and I'm trying to roll the muscles over the bone. So I'm getting muscle movement rather than just skin movement. And that can be done anywhere in the body. I'm just using the back, It doesn't have to be the back. Commonly, you'll see this done on the calf, where we're trying to get the calf muscle moving. So for kneading, I'm pressing in and actually rolling the heads of the gastroc along the back of the tibia, as opposed to just gliding on the surface or sticking to the skin and moving it on the muscle. So I'm just making circles just like this. And the depth is what dictates the difference, essentially, between brushing and wiping and round rubbing and kneading. I like the thenar eminence and to make circles, whether they're this direction or this direction, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Some practitioners get really worked up, and they say if you're going clockwise, you're tonifying, so only do that on the soft, flabby muscles that are cold. And if you're going counterclockwise, you're reducing, and so you want to do that on the tight muscles. Your body doesn't know the difference, but if that's something that you like, go for it. I tend to go whichever direction feels good for me at the moment, or fits their body. Some areas lend themselves. If I'm up here and I'm working along that superior scapular border, circles that go out and run kind of into that feel really good. So I'll do that kind of round rubbing. Say what?
Oh, I'm just talking. I was nothing.
No worries. A lot of times that thenar eminence, the pad below the thumb, I will use this kind of round rubbing, kneading combo, mixed in with a little brush and all the way around that vertebral or medial border of the scapula. It's a good one for that. We're going to talk about on Monday then actually using some of these to move the scapula around a bunch. But for now, just stick to softer tissue. So that covers brushing and wiping, which can be any part of the hand and arm. Sorry, I didn't mean to pull your hair there. Any part of the hand and arm. Moving into round rubbing if I'm moving the skin, and kneading if I'm moving the muscle on the bone underneath. All right. Those are 3 of our 4. The final one, scrubbing, is a very specific technique that I don't do a ton of. It's designed to create a lot of friction and warm the tissue up. And it's usually done straight forward and back as opposed to circles. And almost exclusively it's done on what we call the field of the kidneys, the lumbar region, lumbar spine and kidneys. In Chinese medicine, the kidneys are your backup batteries. And when they get weak, you get sick and die. So they want to keep them strong. And they don't believe the kidneys are ever in excess. They're always deficient. So they want to build them up all the time. And they love to do that with heat. If you can't burn moxa or give people herbs, scrubbing is one way to try to warm the kidneys and help strengthen them. What it is really good for is increasing circulation to the kidneys themselves. And in fact, is a contraindication if someone has kidney stones. Because scrubbing here over the kidneys will indeed move stones sometimes. And if they're bigger than 4.5 or so millimeters, they'll block a ureter, and that patient will end up in the hospital having it lasered apart in an emergency surgery. So, if you're going to scrub, just ask, is it likely that you have big kidney stones? And if they don't know, they probably don't. Because if you're suffering from kidney stones that big, you've had problems already and you know about them usually. Not always, but you're not expected to be psychic. If you were an acupuncturist and they were small enough, you could do this to help move them, but as a massage therapist, it's out of your scope of practice to try to help move kidney stones. So I'm going to scrub, which I haven't actually been doing technically. This is way too gentle to be scrubbing. This would be more wiping or brushing. I can't talk and scrub at the same time because I'm not in that good a shape. But scrubbing is this motion, usually done two-handed. Some people alternate, whatever floats your boat, very rapidly. So I'll scrub for a moment. Her shirt's moving on me.
Are you going to show the before and after what her skin looks like? Not like for you make that easier for
A little tiny red, not much. Most of the friction's between your hand and the fabric, so it doesn't actually rub their skin raw or anything like that. It makes your hands really warm, but that's what feels good to them, is the really warm hands. If you can do 60 seconds of scrubbing, you're a beast. That's a lot of work.
You're not pressing really hard.
Nope, it's super superficial. Just rapid back and forth to warm the area up. Honestly, in the winter, if I have a really deficient person, I'll do a little bit of that. Usually right at the end, just kind of warm it up, wake them up, and then run out. But